Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Berber in the 3-minute pool on ICC. So Berber is possibly playing into the QGD, and we will have a QGD exchange variation. You guys all know that I like this line for white. I can't resist playing it. I'll go e3. This allows bishop f5, after which queen f3 is a crucial move. We'll see if he plays it, though. He might not play bishop f5. If he doesn't, we'll play bishop d3, and the standard queen c2. I think it's a little bit more appropriate to develop the bishop to, or the knight to f3 against this particular move order, so that's how we'll play it. And I plan to play a minority attack with rook a b1 and then b4. So we'll see if he plays a5 in order to stop me. He does. I kind of like maneuvering the knight into c5 prior to doing anything with a3 and b4 now. Okay, so maybe just this move. Bishop takes f3 would needlessly weaken our king side, so I don't want to play that. Allow him to play that. I've played Berber before. I've forgotten who this is. Grandmaster Vladimir Burmakin. Okay, so maybe rook fc1. We have a lot of pieces on the queen side, but we're not abandoning our king side entirely. I can always play knight to f1 as a safeguard against something on h2. Bishop g3 could be useful as a way to neutralize this dark square bishop. I'm still looking to play knight c5 and attack the b7 pawn, possibly with an eye towards playing a3 and b4. Okay, so now since bishop takes h2 might be an issue, I feel like I should maybe... Let's play knight f1, but I feel like I should maybe go bishop g3. If he forces us, we might do that. Let's go bishop g3 now. How about that? I'm curious if he'll trade the dark square bishops. He does. The problem black often runs into in this line is that they don't have a lot of counterplay when push comes to shove. This is interesting. I think he's trying to go queen h4. I don't think h3 is that much of a concession, so we'll play that. He has to go right back to f6. Maybe b4 is decent now. Let's go a3, though, all the same. I'm wondering how he's going to prove that h3 is a weakness. There's not a whole lot he can do. If I play b4 and he takes, I wonder if he's going to... Let's play our knight into c5. We'll go for some trades. His a5 pawn is weak, so he has to play... I thought he was going to play b6. Let's just double our rooks. Maybe I can reroute this knight now. Send it over to the queen side to start probing. A4. Okay, so he's not letting me push the b pawn. This might be hard to break down. We'll see. Okay, let's go. I don't want to go to c3 because I might want to leave the c3 square open for my knight to use. Let's go g4. We'll just stake out some space on the king side. Don't see what he's up to with doubling his rooks on the a file. He's sending his knight to d6. Okay, let's do this. I might want to reroute my knight. I'm thinking like maybe go through d3. So knight d3 and try to get it into c5. We're both maneuvering our knights heavily because the position is so closed. Makes sense to do that. Eventually I need to get rid of his knight from d6 though, or from, yeah, d6. Now he's, okay. He's entrenching it in there. So I could take it, but he'll take it with the b pawn. Let's not do that yet. I know he has a good knight, but so do I now. The action might start taking place on the e file. Hard to say. We're both getting lower on time. His knight is annoying. Okay, let's take now at a time when he can't take with the b pawn. He has to take that way. Maybe go e4 is what I'm thinking. Possibly with an eye towards playing d5 to fully break up his position. Okay, it's hard to resist this. Just gaining a useful pass pawn. D6. Try to go D6 all the way. Let's do this. Maybe threaten some knight D6 business. Okay, let's bring this back. I think trading one pair of rooks could be helpful in the position. Let's bring this up. Yeah, actually I think bringing the king all the way up.
Time warning.
It's not a bad idea. Gotta watch my time though.
Check.
I'm gonna abandon my pawn because knight c5 is such a huge threat. Okay, let's do this. I'm bringing my king up all the way. Knight's coming into c5. Alright, and he ran out of time. So, got sloppy towards the end. White was in control for the vast majority of that endgame, though. So, let's take a look. So, kind of a strange move order. Well, not totally strange to get into d5, but a lot of people who play d4, e6 try to get into like a Stonewall Dutch. They'll play f5 after c4. So, you don't see this particular move order too often. And then just going into a pure exchange Queen's Gambit declined. So c6, e3, and then h6. A lot of times I play bishop f5 in this position. And there's a line that goes queen f3 as a way to try to punish bishop f5. Bishop here, take, 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 and take. And this is an endgame where white probably has a small advantage, but there are some players who play this line for black pretty successfully. Black has the double pawns, but they have a solid position plus the bishop pair. One key maneuver in this line is knight d7 to b6 to c8, d6. It's amazing how often in the Queen's Gambit declined, the d6 square is crucial for black's knight. As you saw in the game, it's a well-placed piece on that square. But he played h6, bishop h4, bishop d6. And I just sort of developed routinely. You know, I could put the knight on e2 and try to go for f3 and e4. I guess I wouldn't do that here because rook e8 makes it harder for me to ever move my f-pawn. And I just feel more comfortable with the knight on f3. It defends the bishop as well. And now that there's less of a battery on this diagonal and their bishop is here, if I develop the knight to e2 and then subsequently castle, I'll always have to look at bishop takes h2 check, king takes h2, knight g4 with a discovered attack on my bishop on h4. In some cases, I might be able to bring my king out to g3 or h3, but I'll have to be on heightened alert for that bishop takes h2 Greek gift style sacrifice. So I just played knight f3, rook e8, castles, knight f8. Yeah, and now preparing the minority attack with b4, b5 in an effort to weaken their pawn structure. So he plays a5. Now, a lot of the times white just plays a3 here, but when a5 has been played, I feel like knight a4 to c5 is the way to handle this. Improving the knight, because let's just say I play a3 and he does something, let's say bishop e6 and I play b4. Black often will just trade and play b5, and this knight has a hard time doing anything. So the idea of knight a4 is to improve the knight before reverting to a3, b4. You want to improve your knight's prospects before doing that. And I think it's a good strategy. I think it's sensible. I've done that in a few over-the-board games before. So he played bishop g4, and didn't want to allow him to capture on f3. Now, here with this bishop e6 move, so if I play like a3, I just wonder about bishop takes,
check,
king takes, and knight g4, attacking the bishop. Could get weird. I mean, king h3 looks horrible with the discoveries. Actually, it just might even lose pretty quickly. But even something else like bishop takes h2, king takes h2, check here, at the very least runs into g5. And my bishop is trapped. So I think a move like knight f1 or possibly bishop g3 right away, but I think I like knight f1 even better. That's a good way to ensure that I can take with the pawn on h2 or the knight on h2 if he captures, and I've shut down his bishop's effectiveness. So now I opted to trade the dark square bishops. I think I have a small advantage here. I'm going to start the engine now, right around here. So he goes knight g4 and provokes me to play h3, but it probably wasn't worth those 2 tempos to do that. It's not like my position is severely weakened by having to put the pawn on h3. The engine does not like knight c5. What if I just play b4? I was worried he would do a capture and then play b5, maybe with an eye towards playing knight b6 to c4 thereafter. But this might be a better way of playing. What if he does play knight b6? Rook a1, start trying to fight for the a file. Something like this possible. Yeah, small edge to white. These are positions that you should be satisfied with out of this opening on occasion. So, small edge on the queen side, but black maintaining a solid position. Knight c5, so we did this swap. I do distinctly recall a game that I played in this fashion. I just swapped some stuff on the queen side and tried to play against black's weakened pawn structure. And I was successful in that game, but granted it wasn't against a grandmaster. Don't think either of us had a clear plan, at least I didn't right here. His plan of pushing the pawn to b5 and getting his knight to d6, then pushing the pawn to b5 and jumping into c4 seems like a good one. At some point I realized I should probably be playing on the king side or the center, because he's well fortified on the queen side. This move might not have been so good. I did consider f4. I thought about that move briefly. So the engine wants to play f5, and then rook e2, maybe with the plan of going e4 sooner or later. It makes sense because he's committed to the queen side now, and if I suddenly start pushing in the center, he might be scrambling to defend. Yeah, knight a2 was perhaps not the best. And here I tried to make way for my knight to come to d3, but I think his knight is at least as good as my knight. I wouldn't have played knight c4 if I were him, though. I think I would have just kept the knight on d6. So suddenly white has a clear advantage according to the computer. And I prepared this gradual plan of opening the center. And now taking on c4. I guess I could have done that on the previous move, but it's nice when he can't take with the b-pawn in view of knight takes a4. So he took here, and now I just prepared e4. I could also continue taking space, like I saw the engine was suggesting h4 in a bid for space on the king side. Because when there's no clear breakthrough yet, a lot of the play will come down to space grabbing in a closed position. We've already both done a fair job of that, but like his g5 move is a space grab. There's no real deep plan behind that. He just doesn't want to allow me to advance my pawns unopposed and slowly strangle him. I wonder if I ever had a clear-cut win anywhere. It's interesting that h4 is a continual suggestion. That way, if takes, I can swing my rook over to h1 and capture this pawn. And he has a weakened structure. So maybe h4 is a way to either take on g5 at an appropriate moment or even close off the position entirely with pawn h5. So d5. I feel like I should have something around here because my d-pawn is strong, but I couldn't quite land a decisive blow. Yeah, now we're both getting low on time, 30 seconds or so each. Knight back to e4. I was trying to walk my king all the way in, but I think he distracted me well. Oh, knight king d4 would have just trapped the rook where it stands. Yeah, no safe squares to retreat to. Okay. I took on f5 instead. That let him off the hook. Yeah, now this move I'm worse. I could have captured on d5. Rook h1 was a horrible move. d6 check is better. But black should be fine now.
Check.
Yeah, the rest was just a big time scramble. May the faster player win. Yeah, and I was probably going to win a piece because I'm playing d7 soon, but his pawns on the king side, his connected pawns, are pretty dangerous. So, all in all, not a bad quality game for a 3-minute game, especially. There were some deeper ideas in this middle game. These Queen's Gambit Decline middle games are very rich. If you're willing to accept that you're probably going to be slightly worse for quite a while in a lot of lines, this is not a bad weapon for black. I mean, there's some players who don't mind defending like a passive but reliable position. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll be back tomorrow with another Blitz game. Talk to you guys later. Bye.